This film begins by introducing Muong High School, an upscale institution in Korea. It features a wealthy student named Sukum, who enjoys picking on his classmates. He and his friends often target those they perceive as weaker. Surprisingly, even the school staff overlooks Sukum's misbehavior to avoid angering his influential family. Goyong, a student frequently bullied by Sukum and his friends, becomes a victim of their harassment, which is even recorded on video by a girl named Me. Meanwhile, Soin, a new intern teacher at the school, is trying to establish herself among her peers and fulfill her duties perfectly to secure a permanent position. While in the restroom, she overhears a conversation between two teachers, EJ and Gon, discussing a previous teacher who used to occupy Simon's desk. Intrigued, Simon searches for this teacher online and is horrified to discover that they took drastic measures after enduring severe bullying from Muong High School students. What's unsettling is that the other educators consider such incidents to be routine at the school. After Simon exits the restroom and walks through the hallway, Jagyong unexpectedly invites her to her classroom to reveal the darker aspects of Muong High School, including footage of Sukum and his gang harassing an elderly kimbap vendor. Fortunately, Jong, the granddaughter of the elderly woman and a newcomer at the school, intervenes. This is why Suk-kung decides to bully Jin-young. Simon is shocked by what she witnesses, but Jae-young advises her to avoid the situation, which she agrees to follow. Later that evening, Simon practices her athletic skills at a boxing gym, where her friend Kwon-jong, a police officer, arrives for some sparring. Surprisingly, Simon is a boxing instructor at the gym. She was once an accomplished judo athlete, and many believed she had potential to win a gold medal in boxing. However, she had to abandon those aspirations when her father, So-young, accrued significant debt, prompting her to spend her savings to keep the gym afloat. Thanks to her diligence over the past decade, the gym remains operational. After training with Kwon-jong, Simon notices several animal masks in the gym and wonders how they got there. Kwon-jong speculates that her father might have collected them from children he used to interact with. The following day, Simon, who teaches at Muong High School, tries to be amicable with everyone, even turning a blind eye when she sees some boys smoking, in hopes of impressing the school and securing a recommendation for a permanent teaching position. Meanwhile, Suk-kung and his friends decide to disable a security camera at the school to harass Jin-young again. Simon witnesses this and wants to intervene, but recalls Jae-young's warning and chooses to step back instead. However, as Suk's actions grow increasingly aggressive, Simon can no longer contain her anger and decides to confront him. At that moment, another student, Lee Bonin, who had been quietly observing the bullying, intervenes and tells Simon not to engage with Suk-kung. He mentioned that Suk's father was a chief prosecutor, his mother worked as a lawyer, and his uncle was part of the police department. This situation made it difficult for Suk-kung to be held accountable for his actions. Simon hesitated to assist Gong after hearing this, but devised another strategy to help him. Later, Simon pretended to be on a phone call and made his way to the hallway where Suk-kung was about to attack Jin-young. She was prepared to intervene and stop Suk, even if it put her in danger. She instructed Gon-young to return to class and pretend she hadn't noticed Suk-kung before. Suk-kung was annoyed that his bullying attempt had failed and questioned who Simon was, as he had never seen her at school. His friend Amin explained that Simon was a new teacher, replacing the one who had died after being bullied by Suk-kung. Upon hearing this, Suk-kung became furious and warned Amin to never mention it again. That evening, Baeong, who worked part-time delivering chicken from a restaurant, was practicing boxing during his break with Young T. Young T had stopped by the restaurant owned by his friend Suk, a former boxer like themselves. After their brief training session, Young T recounted a story about a promising young boxer he had once trained whose career was ruined due to his father's mistakes. On another occasion, Simon met Gon-young at school to discuss the bullying he was facing. Gon-young admitted that he had tried reporting the issue to school officials, but the teachers were too afraid to take action against Suk-kung and his group. When he approached the police, they stated that they required evidence to show Suk-kung's involvement. Gon-young didn't want to change schools. He simply wanted Suk-kung to be held accountable for his actions. He requested Simon's assistance, which confused her since she was just a new intern teacher at the school. Meanwhile, Suk-kung's parents frequently delivered food to the teachers, causing everyone to overlook Suk-kung's behavior. Simon found it challenging to oppose the son of the school's primary benefactor. Later that evening, Simon was at home, still anxious about Gam. Suddenly, she recalled a past moment when she lost in the women's boxing finals. Young Tak berated her, claiming she should have easily won the fight and, in a heated moment, told her he didn't consider her his daughter anymore because his true daughter had died in the boxing ring. Returning to the present, during the school break, Simon encountered Suk-kung and his group on the rooftop, urging them not to disturb other students. However, Suk-kung reacted angrily, warning her to stay out of it if she wanted to avoid trouble at school. After Simon descended from the rooftop, all the teachers received a notification from the education committee about a student at Murong High School inflicting pain on many students and teachers through acts of violence. This news took everyone by surprise. The school principal, who was Jewish, was angry and demanded to know how it leaked. A little later, Suk-kung's stepmother and cousin arrived at the school, upset about the situation. The principal and teachers were too intimidated to speak. So Simin stepped forward and confessed that she had reported it to the education committee after Eno struck Simon on the head. Simon chose to remain silent, realizing she lacked the courage to face Suk-kung's family in the principal's office. Suk-kung asked Jae-wei what would happen to Simon, but when Jae-wei mentioned he would dismiss her, Suk-kung kicked the principal's leg, insisting Simon shouldn't be expelled from school. Concerned for his job, Jae-wei agreed not to fire Simon. Meanwhile, Simon was feeling extremely frustrated about the bullying issues at school. She decided to consult Kwanjong about taking action against Suk-kung. Kwanjong explained that it was a complicated situation, especially since there was no proof tying Suk-kung to the bullying. If Simon reported it without evidence, she could be arrested for false accusations. Hearing this only increased Simon's frustration. When she returned to her apartment, she encountered her dad, who was there to pick up some kids after their boxing practice. However, she didn't seem happy to see him and left without saying much, despite young Teâcher trying to greet her. Later, while Simon was at a convenience store buying snacks, she was startled when Suk-kung's group appeared and began to harass her, claiming she could never stand up to all of them. In that moment, Simon recalled Jang's warning not to get involved with Suk-kung, as it could lead to legal trouble, especially with Suk's uncle being capable of causing her significant harm. A novice teacher was heading home, still pondering a dilemma when she accidentally collided with a drunk man by the roadside. The man reacted with anger, striking her on the head. This angered her, prompting her to kick him until he lost consciousness. She was resolute in addressing the wrongs caused by Suk. Meanwhile, Suk and his friends were playing basketball when another player unintentionally knocked into him. Enraged by this, Suk got into a scuffle with the player. Nearby, Simon observed the chaos, scheming to retaliate against Suk for his unfair behavior. She donned a cat mask and confronted the troublemaker. At the same time, Jin, who was around delivering fried chicken, discreetly watched the altercation. Suddenly, the police showed up and dispersed the fight, forcing Suk and his friends to depart. The next day, Simon felt satisfied after teaching Suk a lesson the night before. Meanwhile, rumors of Suk being attacked by a masked figure had circulated throughout the school, exciting many teachers and students who admired the cat-masked figure as a hero. In class, Suk grew frustrated upon discovering his desk covered with drawings of cat masks made by classmates. In a fit of rage, he flipped his desk and ignored the teacher. Ultimately, Suk chose to leave school with his friends, still seething with anger. Suk-kung sped down the road, frightening his friends. He assured them he could vent his frustration on Jin-young. When they brought up Ganong's name, Suk-kung merely smirked, clearly approving of the idea. Back at her boxing gym, Simon felt pleased with herself after confronting Suk-kung while wearing a cat mask. Kwanjam, aware that Simon had fought her student in the cat costume, cautioned her against continuing, suggesting there were better methods to seek justice. Meanwhile, in a nearby building, Suk-kung and his gang forced Jin-young into a brutal challenge, ordering him to descend the stairs shirtless with a plastic bag over his head. When he reached the ground floor, he dashed for safety, ending up at the fried chicken restaurant where Baeong worked. Sunuk was taken aback by Jin-young's state and quickly came to his aid. Baeong then sped off on his motorcycle to Simon's gym for help. Just as Simon was about to remove her cat mask, Baeong arrived and informed her about Jin-young being made to go shirtless by Suk-kung and finding refuge at Sun's restaurant. He also revealed that he had notified the police while at the basketball court and recognized Simon as the one in the cat mask at Sunuk's restaurant. Jin-young appeared exhausted from the bullying, so he took a knife and headed outside to confront Suk-kung. Suk-kung felt pleased to witness me capturing the struggle with Jin-young as he tumbled down the stairs. He reached out to a friend for assistance in editing the video before posting it online. Meanwhile, I distanced myself from Suk-kang, whose behavior was becoming increasingly intolerable. Soon after, Simon entered the billiard hall, sporting a cat mask, and a confrontation erupted between her and Suk-kang. They exchanged blows until Jin Yong appeared, brandishing a knife. Realizing Jin Yong aimed to harm Suk-kang, Simon attempted to intervene, sustaining injuries and losing a significant amount of blood from Jin Yong's attack. Simon ended up in the hospital for treatment, causing great concern for young Tak, her father, who feared for her life upon seeing her cat mask. Seething with anger, he sought revenge against Suk-kang. Wearing the cat mask, he confronted Suk-kang and his gang, challenging him to a duel. Later, after feeling somewhat better, Simon persuaded Kwon Jong to allow her to leave the hospital. She aimed to protect Jaeum, who might be in further danger. As she exited the ward, she unexpectedly found young Tak sitting in a chair, battered from a fight with Suk-kang, which only intensified her fury toward the troublemaker. At the hospital, Simon ran into Jaeum, who was looking after her little sister. Simon was taken aback and tried to conceal the real reason for her visit. On their way home, young Tak attempted to apologize to Simon for his past errors. He reminisced about the time she competed in the National Olympic boxing qualifications. Simon appeared to have the match under control until the final moments, when she hesitated and allowed her opponent to take her down. This infuriated young Tak. Before the fight, Simon had met someone who offered her money to help with young Tak's debt, but only if she agreed to lose the final match. Young Tak was aware of this and had seen her as a failure. However, he now realized the sacrifice she made and expressed his regret to her. Simon sat quietly, struggling to hold back tears as she listened to her father's apology. The following day, Suk-kang and Oem discovered that the MK cat figure was from their school and quickly began investigating to identify the person behind the mask. They checked the arms of their classmates for a cut on the left arm. Unfortunately, none of the students they examined had the mark, until Suk-kang accidentally spotted Simon, who had injured her left arm in a collision with another student. He finally figured out that she was the masked figure he had been searching for. Later, Suk-kang encountered Simon in the teacher's lounge and intentionally grabbed her injured arm. He asked her why she intervened to save him when Gonyung was trying to hurt him. Simon confessed that she did it to shield Gonyung from trouble. Frustrated, Suk-kang first attempted to suffocate her with a plastic bag but changed his mind upon seeing a flyer about a boxing match at the school festival. He chose to confront her in the ring, wanting to demonstrate his strength in front of both students and teachers. Simon agreed because Suk-kang threatened to report her to the police with the video of Gonyung trying to harm her if she didn't comply. On a different occasion, Jin Yong was on the rooftop, seeming ready to do something drastic. Fortunately, Simon arrived in time to persuade him against it, reminding him of his grandmother's deep love for him and urging him to hang in there. After hearing Simon's supportive words, Jin Yong let go of his grim thoughts, and Simon immediately embraced him, offering comfort as he wept. A few days later, news of the upcoming match between Suk-kang and Simon circulated widely. On the day of the event, Baeong Jin excitedly distributed cat masks to all students in support of Simon. When the match began, Suk-kang unleashed all his self-defense techniques, overpowering Simon and even causing her hair to come loose during the fight. The crowd was stunned when they realized the individual behind the cat mask was a woman. Just when it seemed Simon would be declared defeated, she changed the game. She removed her mask, surprising everyone by revealing she was the masked fighter. She secured her victory by kicking Suk-kang out of the ring, forcing him to kneel before Jaeong. She demanded that Suk-kang apologize to Jaeong, but he stubbornly refused. In the end, the film depicts Simon and Jin Yongong reporting Suk-kang as the bully to the police station. Shortly after, Mi arrives with evidence of Suk's violent actions at the school. Sometime later, Simon is shown in her new role as a gymnastics instructor after graduating from Yuen High School. Overall, the story conveys not to underestimate the strength of a cat mask teacher with exceptional boxing skills when it comes to standing up to bullies in a school. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.